Hi there, and welcome to month 8 of the Patriotic Days block of the month from Pastry Shop Quilts. Today we're going to work on 2 blocks, the flag banner block and the Starburst block. These are the last 2 blocks of this sew along, and then next month we do the finishing. So super excited to get these done today, so let's get started. So the first block we're going to make today is the flag banner block. And as you can see, I have all my pieces laid out. This is the center of the block, so we're going to set that aside. All 4 corners are going to be your solid background 4.5-inch square. This is also a 4.5-inch square, so we're going to set all of those aside for now. And the first thing we're going to do is make our flying geese. So you're going to make 4 of these, and those are going to be the 4 flag units on this block. This is going to attach to this because these are going to turn into a flying geese. We're going to attach this to the bottom of it to make our flag part. So I'm going to set that aside just for now. So go ahead and make 4 of these. We're going to do one together and I'll let you do the others on your own. But I'm going to start by putting the 2.5-inch square on the 2.5 by 4.5-inch rectangle. And I'm going to sew corner to corner. I'm going to, after I sew, trim this away. And then I'm going to press this over, and then we're going to add this square on the other side to do the same thing. So let's get started with that. Now, you can mark these if you want. You can mark it corner to corner. I don't typically mark blocks that are less than 3 inches because I have the diagonal seam tape right here on my machine, which I love. But if it helps you to get your pieces on straighter, you can. I know a few of you have mentioned you still can't get your flying geese perfectly straight. So what I would suggest is to make sure you draw that line and then just take one little dot of Elmer's glue on the side that you're going to cut away, which is going to be this side. Put one little dot there and stick your fabric down. That'll help keep this from moving, because even if it moves just the tiniest bit, it will get your flying geese off, and that's probably what's happening. So as long as your pieces are all cut the correct size, that's more than likely what's happening. So I recommend doing the Elmer's glue trick. Okay, so now I've got that side sewn on. I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch away. After I trim it, I'm going to press this over and we'll be ready to do the other side. Now you can get your rotary cutter and your ruler if you like, or you can just trim. If you've been sewing for a long time, you probably know where that 1/4 inch is. I've got a pretty good idea. Sometimes it's easier for me just to scissor cut, so that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to press this guy, and then we'll add the other wing to the flying geese. Okay, so we've got something that looks like that right now. Now we're going to add the other side. Make sure that's right where I want it, and then go ahead and sew it. Okay, trim that away, and we'll press that guy. And then we'll have one of our flying geese, and don't forget to make 4 of these. Okay. This is the easier block this week, so decided to do this one first. And you'll see this one goes pretty quickly. So there's your flying geese. Once you get all 4 of your flying geese made, you're going to attach them to look something like this, and you're going to want 4 of these. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this onto here. Now, one tip I can tell you to keep your points is when you put this together, instead of sewing on the solid side, flip it over and sew on the side where you can see the flying geese. You can see where the thread crosses right here, and I know that you can't see that in the camera, but you'll see where the thread crosses right here where you added your little squares onto this rectangle. If you go right through that X or a smidgen to the right of it towards the outside, you'll keep your point every time. So that's just a little hint there. usually being able to see where that X is, you can keep your point. So there we go. I have my point, which is great. I like when that works out. Okay, so there's that one, and I've got this one. So now all we're going to do is line these up in rows. So I'm going to set this one here, this one here. The blue is all going to go in towards the center. So here's our center block. So a blue on either side of the center block, and then I've already gotten one row sewn together. So it's going to look just like that. So make sure all your blues are touching your center. Just sew these guys together. Now I usually press towards the dark, not towards the light, but on this one I decided to press out because there's less bulk. So the center I'm going to press in and the top I'm going to press out, so they'll nest nicely when we put these rows together. So as I go along here, I'm just going to finger press this so it'll press nicer when we get it over to the ironing board. I'm going to add the other side. I'm really excited that we're getting close to finishing this block of the BOM. I can't wait to see what this quilt comes out looking like. Of course, we've seen a picture of it, but it always looks different in person, so I'm getting really excited. So now I'm going to do this last row. I'm going to add these to either side and press them out. Gonna finger press that for now. Add this last one. And I know we didn't do all the pieces together, but you can still see from what I've done how quickly this block goes together, so nice to have a quick block. Okay. Now I'm going to press this with my iron. Okay, there's that one. I don't remember if I pressed the bottom one with my iron, so I'm going to go ahead and give that a press again. Doing the top and the bottom out, and then this one is going to go in, and then we can put all these rows together. And if you finger pressed it like I do, it goes a little bit faster when you take it to the iron, so because it already wants to go the way that you told it to. Okay, oh, so cute. I really like this block. This would be a fun one to do a whole quilt of just this block, because they're quick. So if you needed to do a quick quilt that you wanted to do stars, I think this is perfect. So I'm not pinning, but you can pin if you like. I'm just feeling for those seams to nest up. And I'm going to press this towards the center on this piece. I'm going to press this guy before I add this one, just to make that go the way I want it to. That one seam is being stubborn. That's okay. If you have one that's stubborn that doesn't want to go down from the front side, you can always flip your block over and iron it from the back side. Okay, we got that. Now I'm going to add this last piece, and this flag banner block is going to be done. This was such an easy block. I love it. Sometimes you need an easy block when you've been sewing a lot of harder things. Okay, now I'm going to press this one down so all my seams are going down, not towards the center. Alright, there is our flag banner block. So this is the block 1 of this month. So let me go ahead and take a break and get set up for block 2, and we'll do block 2 for the month. Okay, so here I am back with the second block for this month, which is the Starburst block, and this is the last block of this so long. I can hardly believe it. Next month we'll do all the finishing, but this is the last big block. And this is probably one of my favorite blocks in the whole thing because this is a unique block. It's not something you see all the time. This one is, you need to pay closer attention to the directions as it's very detail oriented. Not hard, but detail oriented. There's lots of steps in this block. So stick with me. Hopefully we can figure this out together. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a whole mess of half square triangles. And I've made most of them just because I didn't think you guys would want to sit here, watch me sew and press a whole bunch of half square triangles. But you're going to make 4 of the sky blue gingham. You're going to make 8 of the red star and 8 of the navy star. So you're going to have 2 sets of these, 4 sets of these, and 4 sets of these. So I've got one left of each one. I went ahead, like I said, and did some of them ahead of time just because for time's sake. Now these are 3-inch blocks, and that's about where I like to start drawing lines on the back. So I'm going to draw a line on the back of that, just like that, corner to corner. And we're going to do the 2 at a time method. So I'm just going to layer my white squares on top of all these guys. We're going to sew on either side of the line about a 1/4 inch away. We're going to trim or cut them apart and then trim these down to 2.5 inches square. Put that guy aside for a minute. So if you're doing all of these at the same time, which you probably will, you could chain piece them all down one side and then cut your thread and then chain piece them all down the other side. If I was doing all with you, I would probably do that. That does help it go a little bit quicker. I'm doing one at a time because I've just got 3. And they're all different colors. So the other thing you could do is that sometimes when I chain piece, I'll do that. I'll put all the same colors, chain piece all the same colors, then cut the thread, and then chain piece all the next color, so on and so forth. That helps you stay a little bit organized too. There's that one. And then our last one here. And again, you could either rotary cut these apart on that drawn line, or you can snip them apart with scissors, whichever way you like. So I'm going to cut these apart with scissors. And don't forget, Pastry Shop Quilts just started a Christmas block of the month with Christmas stitched fabric by Fig Tree. And this, we already did month 1, but you can easily catch up because the first month is a panel. It's all piecing, and some people asked if it was applique because I think they saw the panel pieces that were super cute and fancy. No applique. I am not an appliquer, so it's no applique. It's all traditional piecing, and the first month is really nice because there's, I believe it was 13 blocks that we did, because we cut out the applique, or not the applique, like now I'm saying applique. We cut out the panel and then put the fabrics around it, and that created our first 13 blocks. So we have over half of the blocks done in the quilt so far just from doing that. So if you are interested in that, check out my video on that. I'll link it at the end of this video, and maybe you'd like to join, and there's still plenty of time to join. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to finish it just in time for Christmas. It finishes in November on the schedule we're on. So I'm looking forward to that because we'll have time to get it done. And there was a couple extra bonus projects too, a table runner and a quilted bag. So after you got done making the quilt, you can make those bonus projects and give them away as Christmas presents and keep the quilt for yourself, or vice versa. If you really, really have a fun person to give the quilt to, or somebody that you feel is quilt worthy, that would be an amazing Christmas gift. So that just started. So you've got, the next one won't be till almost the end of this month. So you've got some time to catch up if you're interested and would like to sign up for that. Seeing that we're almost done with this block of the month. So excited that we're going to have this beautiful red, white, and blue quilt just in time for all the summer holidays. And then we'll have the Christmas one just in time for Christmas, since we're going to finish end of November. Now, if you're not somebody who quilts your own quilts, if you hire a long armor like me or somebody else, I would let them know if you're going to do the Christmas block of the month. Ask them if you could schedule a time end of November or beginning of December, if you're going to keep up with the block of the month, to go ahead and get your slot in so you can get it quilted by Christmas. Because a lot of times by the end of November, long armors don't have any spots left. So to ensure you get it by Christmas. So if you're, somebody said this the other day, so I don't mean to insult anybody, but quilting, if you're a quilter by check, in other words, you pay somebody to do your quilting, which there's nothing wrong with that. Because if you didn't, people like me wouldn't exist. That is my business. Then you'll want to get your appointment made for that quilt, so that way you can have it back. Most long armors fill up by October for Christmas quilts, so every once in a while they'll have a cancellation, and sometimes you can slide in, but yeah, because a lot of times they're trying to, including myself, finish their own things for Christmas, so we stopped taking quilts at a certain point. I'm just trimming these down to 2.5 inches square. And you're going to do that for all of the half square triangles. So yeah, all 20. So it's going to take you a little while to do that. That's alright. But that's also why I sewed some ahead of time, so you guys didn't have to sit here and watch me trim 20 half square triangles. Okay. I love these fabrics. Do you guys love these fabrics? I do, especially these little stars on this fabric. I think they're just darling. I'm a big Americana USA fan though, so I am just loving them. Okay, those are all trimmed. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these red guys right here. Set these aside for a minute. And we're gonna grab, you have some 1.5 inch background squares, which we're gonna put right on the corner of the red, right like that. And we're gonna sew corner to corner right there. Our aim is to make a piece that looks like this. So I'm gonna put that right there on that corner. Let's do that first. Like I said, not a hard block, but there's many little steps to this block. So make sure you get to each step. Okay. And again, corner to corner here, making kind of like a stripe. Alright, so I'm going to trim this away, and we're going to press these. Okay, I'm going to give them a finger press first. And take those to the ironing board and press them. So there's one. And there's another. Alright, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to grab our navy squares. And we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to add a red 1.5 inch square to those. And we're going to add this one on the white side. Not on the colored side, on the white side. Get those out of the way so I don't cut myself. Okay. So again, so corner to corner. Again, we're making a stripe, except this time we're making a white stripe. And your piece is going to look something like that. So it's going to be a red, white, and blue piece, which I think is adorable. Alright, now I'm going to trim these just like we did the last ones. And then we're going to press these. Okay, those are so cute. They look like little flags. Okay, so the next step is setting these aside. We'll come back to these in a minute. Now you need to grab your white pieces and your last red background squares, which I have misplaced. So I'm going to pause there and find them. I must have dropped them somewhere. Pieces found, crisis averted. It wouldn't have been a crisis anyway because I had some extra of this fabric, so just in case, but they just fell on the floor probably when one of my kids was down here raiding my space. That happens quite often. Okay, so for this step, you have two different size pieces. You've got a 4.5 inch piece and a 3.5 inch piece, and the shorter one, you're going to want to add your piece, your 1.5 inch square, to the 3.5 inch rectangle, and you're going to sew from the upper right to the lower left. Now, when you get to the 4.5 inch piece, it's going to be the opposite. You're going to sew from the upper left to the lower right. So make sure you're paying close attention to that in the diagram. And again, you're going to make 4 sets of these. Oops. See, I already did it wrong. I told you guys I was thinking about this one and I started sewing that other one wrong. Mistakes happen. It's okay. That one will just need Jack here in a second. So let me sew this one since I've got that in my head that way. Okay, so that one is sewn from the top left to the lower right. Gotta get my seam ripper here. If I can find him, there he is. And luckily I only took a couple stitches, so this won't take long to pick out. Get out of there. Just like that. Alright, let's try that again. Everybody makes mistakes, right? Okay, so now I'm going to turn the square where I already started to sew so it'll guide me so I do it the right way this time. Now we're going to sew from the upper right to the lower left. It's because I had just told you about that one, so that was in my brain and I started sewing that way. At least I realized it before I sewed all the way down. Or before I did all of them that way. Okay, there we go. Or trimmed them. That would have been even worse if I had trimmed them and then realized. Because then I would have had to cut more pieces. Alright, there we go. Trim those away. Alright, and I'm going to press those. Finger press them first. And then take them to the ironing board and press them. I like to finger press first just because it helps when you get to the ironing to make your fabric go the way you want it to. Behaves better, so you don't have to burn your fingers. Trying to make it behave. Okay, there we go. So we have those pieces looking like that. They're in opposite corners. Like I said, make sure you're watching your diagrams and make 4 sets of those. Now we're going to grab our 2.5 inch background square. There is a bunch of fuzz on it. Okay, our 2.5 inch background square. And we're going to sew this almost kind of like a log cabin if you've ever done a log cabin block. We're going to start on the bottom. We're going to join the 2.5 inch by 1.5 inch, I believe it's 1.5 inch, yeah, 1.5 inch square to the bottom. And then we're going to join this one to the side. So kind of just like a log cabin block. Actually made a bunch of log cabins, but I've never made a whole quilt out of log cabins before, and I'm going to do that this year. That's one of the things I have on my list for this year. I'm excited about that. I really like log cabins, so this is kind of fun, this part, because it reminds me of a log cabin. So I'm going to add this to this side. Make sure you press between each of these steps. Okay, finger press that and then press it. Now, with these pieces that we just made, we're going to kind of continue this log cabin thing and add the smaller one to the bottom. So your red should make an L if it's facing you. Add the small piece to the bottom of the L, with the white touching the red. Press that down. See how we're kind of building that like a log cabin? Kind of cute. Okay, except the log cabin would keep going around and around, but you know, you guys know what I mean. And then we're going to put the longer piece on the side of the L. Again, the white touching the L, the red away from the L. And press this. All right, now that piece is made, so you should have 4 of those. Although I think the instructions tell you to do 4 each quadrant at a time, because we're building 1 quadrant of this block. This block is in 4 quadrant pieces. So I'm gonna get my other piece that I've started over here and finish this one first. As you can see, the next step we have to do is add a red, white, and blue piece to a white and red piece. So I'm going to grab one of these reds, and I'm going to orient it the same way as this, and one of these, and we're going to put those together just like that, and it'll make a piece similar to this. Now, when I did these pieces, because I pre-sewed this one, I did end up pressing these open on the back. So I just finger press it open, take it over to the iron, press it down, because these get really bulky. So I'm going to press it from the back and the front to make that lay down nice and flat. Because like I said, they're pretty bulky. So this is what we have so far. Now that matches that one. The next step we're going to do, set that aside, actually, is we're going to go ahead and grab these guys. So the next thing we have to do is add the block with the gingham or the sky blue to a square with the navy stars. So just like this. So again, I'm going to press this open. Okay, so now you should have something that looks like this with the gingham and the navy. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to do is grab another one of your red and white striped, and make sure that the smaller triangle, there's the bigger triangle and the smaller triangle, that was part of the half square triangle, this is the one we added on, is on the bottom here, and this red is going to touch this red because this is going to make a stripe. So you'll have sky blue, navy, white, red, white. And again, I'm going to press this open. As you can see, those match up pretty nicely to make that red little stripe there. This is very bulky right here because you've got a seam, a seam, a seam, a seam. So that's why I'm pressing open. Okay, so you're going to take this piece and you're going to join it just like that to this piece that we made. So you're going to make sure the blues are touching, add it on, and we'll do it again because I've got one more here. You're making all of these the same, all 4 pieces. perfect. So those matched right there. So you'll have your blues just like that. Kind of makes like an hourglass looking type shape. Okay. Now you could press this open if you want to. It is kind of bulky, but I think it's looking like it's wanting to lay towards like the L. So I'm gonna press it that way. Okay. Yep, that's laying pretty good. So that's what we're aiming for, is this kind of piece, and to make 4 of these. So let's just do this last one together. So the first thing I need to do is add this guy with the red and the blue and the red onto the bottom of the L. So here's the L, and I'm adding the piece with just the blue and the red on the bottom. Kind of still doing that log cabin thing, adding to the bottom and then adding to the side. So I tried pressing that down just to see what would happen, and it's not wanting to press because it is so bulky. So we're going to open that seam up. Decided I would try it just to see, in case you guys don't like pressing open, because I know a lot of people don't. And you could still press it down or up, whichever way you like, but it's pretty bulky there. Okay. So, I've got this. Now, before I can put the other piece on the side, continue with the log cabin-ish theme, I'm going to have to sew these pieces together again. So this one here. And that one there. And then this one here. I'm just double checking my orientation so I don't get these wrong. Do I have this wrong? Yes, I do. See? Turn that block and look at it. There we go. Okay. Now it's correct. So as you can see, nothing hard, just fussy. So just make sure you're paying attention to the way your block should be going. Okay, now adding the last piece here. Give that guy a press. Okay, so there's that last piece to add to this one. So I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to make sure that my navies again are touching, that my gingham is to the outside, and that my red is touching this red to continue the stripe. Yes, those points matched up just like I wanted them to. Perfect. Press that last guy. And now we have 2 of our 4 quadrants. So we're going to end up joining these together, and I've got the other half of my block right here. So that's already joined together, as you can see. I'm going to join these together, and by magic, we're going to have a pinwheel right in the center. Isn't that cool? I really love this block. How fun. Okay, so I'm going to flip this guy on top. So again, you're going to sew each quadrant and then put your quadrants together to make this block. And I'm just going slow to match up my seams. I don't have to use Jack right now since we're almost done. Okay, so I pressed this one to the right, so I'm going to press this guy to the left. I'm going to give him a press so we can put these 2 upper and lower quadrants together to make this block. Okay, here we go. Oh, what a pretty block. I love it. Okay, I want to make more of this block now too. Although this would be a harder quilt to make just because of the time it would take longer. But it would be worth it. These blocks are gorgeous. Lining up all my seams. Now, remember all that bulk I was telling you guys about? Even with my seams open, there is a lot of bulk here, so I'm glad I made that decision, because this would be a lot more difficult than it is right now if I would have pressed them to one side. And they're still pretty thick. Okay, so there it is, the Starburst block. Just have to give this guy a press, and I'm gonna put these 2 stars that we just made on the wall with the others, and I will show you where we're at. Thank you so much for sewing along with me. That was so much fun. I really love that Starburst block, so pretty. And the flag banner block was really nice because it went together so quickly, especially since that Starburst block was a little tricky. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoy this video and that you finish all these, or you have all your blocks done, or you're getting them done for next month. Like I said, next month is the finishing. Yay! I can't wait to get this all together. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know there's some finishing stars and some sashing, so can't wait to see what next month is all about. I hope you'll join me then. And don't forget about the block of the month that's coming, or that's out now for Christmas, Christmas Stitched. And that just began, so you'll be able to catch up if you didn't know about it. You're just hearing about it now. I'm really excited about that one. It uses Fig Trees fabric and a panel from Corey Yoder, so 2 of my favorite designers. How perfect. And it will be done at the end of November, so you'll be able to have it in time for Christmas, like I was saying earlier. So I hope you'll join me for that one, or at least come and watch. If you don't want to participate, that's fine. I'd love to have you just come along and watch, because I think it's going to be a really beautiful quilt. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you soon, and have a great week. Bye!